does it matter what your guru or your spiritual teacher wears, what they look like, what they travel in, whether they are using a mouse as their Vaman, as their vehicle, whether they're using a helicopter, whether they're using a luxury car, whether they're in a bull cart. If they were in a bull cart, it would take an awful amount of time for them to get around the globe. And what does it matter? Whatever life they have led before, wasn't Valmiki Valia before he wrote what he wrote? Wasn't Dasganu that we find in the Sri Sai Satcharitra who served at the feet of Satguru Sai Baba in Shirdi? Was he not a womanizer? Did he not do all sorts of things, even invite Shirdi Sai Baba to go and have a look at some cabaret? And so? And maybe Baba did go. And so? What do these things matter? They matter only in one regard, and in one regard only, if the person witnessing all of these other things, whether it is riches, whether it is watching something, is entangled in it so much so that they become identified with it as their reality, as who they amount to, so much so that they are enslaved to these pleasures or to these comforts outside. But all in all, does it really matter? Whether your teacher is wearing jeans, whether your teacher has covered their head, whether your teacher is wearing makeup, or whatever it is, what does it matter when what they are here to impart is demystifying spirituality? Not only is spirituality demystified, but through that unraveling, you are able to awaken to spirit. You're able to awaken to universal consciousness. You're able to awaken to all else that exists beyond that which you can perceive in your manifest reality, which is a projection of who you think you are, and therefore experiencing a manifest reality that is quite hollow. Any realism added to this is only added when your inner guru, when the teacher within you has been awakened. Numerology, angelic readings, healing, all these are tools. Kundalini awakening is also a tool. It is a means and not an end in and of itself, friends. Most of you know this already, because you're in the thick of the process. Now, as you're going through the process, there's only one thing that's truly going to allow in the unfolding of this and to get you to any stage that is worth going through an awakening, so that you're now into a fully awakened, integrated state where you live liberated, free. Not a liberation that you may have attached some sort of an association with that word, or self-realization, or soul, Atma. Dropping all the associations, because ultimately all of that is going to drop. So what somebody looks like, what they are doing, is absolutely irrelevant. Look at you and yourself. Your perception of anything and everything in your world, including those inside of it, is all a projection of who you think you are and yourself, your identity. What a spiritual awakening will do is for you to go beyond the projection and for you to see what it really is. And as you do that and you wait through your spiritual awakening, it then dawns upon you that how silly we were. How pedantic of us to have attributed certain things to be a sign of spiritual awakening or a sign of exalted consciousness, when in fact, all those were skin deep. The only sign of exalted consciousness is one, and that is when you live not out of your mind, but you live through and through from consciousness. And when you do that, folks, you live with an absolute spiritual autonomy. Take responsibility for all that you may get entangled with, but by this stage you will not get enmeshed or entangled because you don't identify with a mental projection. Everything is just a mental projection. It's all in the mind. A Kundalini awakening is not an end of in itself. Kundalini awakening is just the beginning. You must get through the entire process. And one thing that is going to help you through that process is you dropping your guard. Yes, your guard. Whatever it is that is keeping you so guarded and that you are protecting yourself against what? Why do you feel that you must have a facade, a false persona, a show that you want to put on? Too scared to be yourself, or not even knowing what it is to be yourself because you don't know what self you are identified with. So with the Kundalini, folks, the biggest tool that is there at your disposal is to drop all impression. You can drop the impression when you investigate into the kind of expression that you're projecting out there, which in turn bounces back as the result, which is your manifest reality. All fingers point back this way, not that way. So you are really well and truly your answer. If your Kundalini is stuck, there's a reason. If you still have beliefs, you still have associations, you still have in your head, and you are still in your head, then there is still a lot of work to do. And the whole point of a Kundalini awakening is actually to drop the work, that there is nothing. Because you can't experience any of this through your mind. You absolutely cannot. Because what you experience through your mind would be an interpretation of a sensation. It'll be an interpretation based on your past impression, not an interpretation based off of real time as it is. When you can move from projection to seeing, witnessing, observing as it is, without a hue, without a shade of who you think you are in this or what happened to you, then you are now on the path of awakening. You must have the freedom to be able to tune to your body's intelligence, as opposed to, I've got to eat this because I've been told to eat this. So many of us can't let go of allopathic medication because of fear, because you were conditioned. We must take those. And we are enslaved to that, forgetting that your body, this body, has everything. It has everything it needs in order to function optimally if you can simply tune into it. An awakening, folks, is of absolutely no use for those of you who might think it's a fashion statement these days because it's something that's in the offing now. Or for those of you not willing to let go of your idea of spirituality. I spent a long time in India, for example. People were bent upon deifying me and calling me Ma, calling me Mataji, the one that has come to reset the 2012 reset that took place in the universe. And I remember in those days calling upon my family and saying to them, I think these people have gone absolute nuts because I don't identify with anything that they're talking about. Yet I could feel the divine in me. I could feel the mother in me. But I said, if you're going to call me Ma, if you're going to call me a mother, you're going to call me Mataji, then know this. You are no less of a Ma than me. All of us well and truly are the goddess personified. Because it is in the goddess's play that we all find ourselves, and all of us are her creation. All of us are her. So it is to realize that yes, you are, when you are going through your Kundalini awakening. So this is what will happen, or what has happened to some of you. But remember, there is a certain point that you pass through in a Kundalini awakening, which we call the self-aggrandizement stage, which is different from identifying with all that is and identifying with something that makes you feel entitled to something. And here is when, folks, a lot of us, a lot of spiritual gurus, a lot of spiritual mentors, teachers, will start to identify with the deity and assume the form of the deity. But that is not the zenith. That is not the point. We've not reached. Remember, the goddess herself must be absolved in pure consciousness, the void, which we call Shiva, the state of nothing. We must go back into that. Yet, it's the divine sport. So, for now, perhaps that's the path chosen. But remember, whenever you feel that, yes, I have now come to a certain point and I can relax, there is still some more. There is still some more. Lots and lots more. So your spiritual awakening, your Kundalini awakening is demystifying that which seems to be beyond reach. Do not fool yourself that a realized person or a spiritual guru or teacher must behave in a certain way for them to be regarded as such. So many of us get lost in all of that. We get lost in translation. Do yourself a favor and don't get lost in that translation. But if you are getting lost in that translation, then go back to the drawing board of yourself. And if you're truly committed to this path of the awakening, you'll be able to drop all of these notions. That's all they are. There's now nothing real to this, folks. Nothing real. Many people regarded, for example, Shirdi Sai Baba and so many other perfect masters as a madman, as a mad fakir. He lived in a dilapidated masjid, a mosque. Some called him a Hindu, some called him a Muslim. To a Muslim, he would say Ram. To a Hindu, he would say Allah Malik. Yet he was pure consciousness. He was merged. He was already there. But did all those that were with him day and night, who were in Shirdi, Did they all get Sadgati? Did they all get realization? Were they all able to witness that which Shirdi Sai Baba was living? No. No. Right? So we go to these places, we go to these saints, we go to these gurus, we deify them, we put them on this place, we put them on a pedestal that is so far that we can then not witness and participate in that which they themselves are born of or are experiencing, because we want to put them on a pedestal, which is fine. It's a process. You can start by putting them on a pedestal if that's the way it's going to have to be for you. Right? I did that myself with my guru. But it came to a point where that was no longer necessary. But I always keep myself in check, and I still put him where he is to allow for my spiritual ego to stay in check. This idea that you are your deeds or you are your experience is a fallacy. Once you have awakened, there is no karma. Karma actually goes into ashes. There is no karma. That's the whole point. But you've got to be prepared to live without impression. You yourself, not to have an impression of something else. It's a very, very long process. You must have heard of Chandi Diwar, Chandi Part, Durga Shaptashati. You must have heard of when Durga, the goddess, the Hindu goddess, right? There's a Durga in all of us. Durga is basically the part of you, Kundalini, the part of you that is now awake and ready to annihilate all that stands in your way. And once she's done everything, once she's done all of that, you then witness Parashakti, Lalita Tripura Sundari. You witness all of that, and you go into Parashiva, Para everything, Para which is before manifestation. You see, you can only experience that which exists and is manifest for you from that existence. Anything that we can fathom through the mind, we can fathom because it's already there in the umbrella of existence. Which is why nothing is original and nothing is off the table when it comes to your imagination, when it comes to the mind. You think aliens exist? Because they do. You think goblins exist? Because they do. Everything that we think of, fairies, pixies, these are not things that have come from nowhere. It's all there because it's all there existing, but it may not exist as your manifest reality, which doesn't in turn invalidate the reality of somebody else. What a spiritual awakening and a Kundalini awakening basically do is for you to now experience existence at will. Not experiencing existence as this is my manifest reality because this is my projection and this is what I want to experience. But you've gone beyond I want to experience that to you think, oh, I wonder what's going to come to me. You're opening yourself up fully. Now, when you open yourself up fully, it's a completely different ball game. Completely different ball game. Before an awakening, you could have eaten, you could have sat, you could have been in love with everything that represented all that is and not seen and not known because you would have dismissed it as not fitting in your little case that says, well, this is what something that is spiritual. This is what spirituality is. This is what enlightenment is. This is what self-realization is, which is why we say, drop all that you know. Drop the information. Drop it. Fully drop all that you know. And this one thing alone will allow sufficient flexibility and fluidity for you to see that which was perhaps so close to you and you were unable to because of the blinkers. Wherever possible, ask yourself, where are my blinkers and where are they coming from? Right, okay, acknowledge them. That's all it takes to acknowledge, I have my blinkers on. See, once you awaken, life just takes on a different shade. Everything that you knew so far, whether it's about relationships, whether it's about money, wealth, material life, it's all, it goes. It goes. Right? So here's a little prayer, folks. It's a prayer from my heart to yours. I know that you know that where you are is where you are meant to be, and you are beyond all that you have been taught. You are beyond the letter of life because you are the spirit of life. Lots of love. Namo Namah.